Hey there, ghost hunters and thrill seekers. Welcome back to another spine-chilling episode where we delve into the darkest corners of the unknown. Tonight, we're diving headfirst into 5 terrifying tales that might just make you sleep with the lights on. We've got whispers in the walls, phantom trains and paintings that are a little too lifelike. Are you ready to face your fears? Buckle up because we're about to take a one-way trip to Spooktown. Let's begin our journey into the unknown. Our first tale takes us to the creepy corridors of an old Victorian house in New England. Sarah, a college student full of summer optimism, moved into house-sit, thinking it would be a nice, quiet break, and for the first couple of days it was. But on that third night, things took a turn for the weird. She started hearing faint whispers coming from the walls. At first, she brushed it off. It's an old house, she probably told herself. It's just the wind. But as the days passed, those whispers, they got louder, more insistent. They seemed to follow her from room to room like a chorus of disembodied voices, always lurking just out of sight. One night, Sarah woke up in a cold sweat to find all the furniture in her room rearranged. And the whispers, they were clearer now, a chorus of chilling voices chanting in unison, "Get out, get out, get out!" That was Sarah's breaking point. She grabbed her stuff and fled the house that very night, vowing never to return. Years later, after the stories of the whispers became local legend, the house was demolished. Hidden within those walls, they found human remains, giving a whole new meaning to the term skeleton in the closet. Some say those whispers continue even to this day, a chilling reminder that some houses hold secrets best left undisturbed. Our next stop takes us to a sleepy little town, where the only thing moving after dark is Jake, the night shift worker at the train station. Now Jake was used to the quiet solitude of his job, the rhythmic ticking of the clock, the hum of the fluorescent lights. It was almost peaceful. That is until exactly 12:01 a.m. every single night, when the silence would be shattered by the ear-splitting shriek of a train whistle. The thing is, no trains were scheduled at that time. It didn't make sense. Every night Jake would cautiously step out onto the platform, peering down the tracks, expecting to see the glow of approaching headlights. But the tracks were always empty. Weeks went by and the phantom train whistle became a nightly ritual. Was it a prank? A malfunctioning signal? Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply, deeply wrong. One night, curiosity, or maybe it was morbid fascination, got the better of Jake. As the clock ticked down to midnight, he found himself drawn to the platform once again. The whistle blew louder and closer than ever before. And that's when Jake saw it. Emerging from the darkness, a ghostly train, its windows glowing with an eerie light, pulled into the station. The train itself seemed to shimmer like a heat wave on asphalt, and it was filled with passengers. They were pale, almost translucent, their faces frozen in expressions of blank indifference. The conductor, a gaunt figure in a tattered uniform, stepped off the train and extended a skeletal hand towards Jake, as if inviting him aboard. Chapter 3. The Smiling Man in the Window. For our next tale, we travel to the city where Lisa, a young woman living alone in a high-rise apartment, became unwillingly acquainted with a creepy stranger. It started innocently enough. One night, while drawing the curtains, Lisa noticed a man standing in a window of the building across from hers. Not exactly an unusual sight in a bustling city, right? Except for one unsettling detail. This guy was just smiling. Not a friendly wave or a polite nod, just this wide, unwavering grin plastered on his face. Lisa, being a reasonable person, probably thought, okay, that's a little weird, but hey, maybe he's just really happy about his houseplants. But the next night the man was back in the window, same position, same creepy smile, and the night after that, and the one after that. It became a nightly routine. Lisa tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a mannequin, a cardboard cutout. But the more she thought about it, the more uneasy she felt. There was something about the way he just stood there, always watching, that sent shivers down her spine. Then came the night that changed everything. As Lisa was about to close her curtains, she made eye contact with the smiling man. And for the first time, he moved. He slowly raised his hand and gave her a little wave. That was it for Lisa. She screamed, ran to the phone and called the police, her heart pounding like a drum solo. When the police arrived, they rushed to the apartment across the street, ready to confront the creepy window dweller. But when they got there, the apartment was empty, completely vacant. Chapter 4. The Babysitter's Nightmare. Our next story takes us to the suburbs where young Emma was about to experience the most terrifying night of her babysitting career. It was a typical babysitting gig. The Anderson family seemed perfectly normal. Their 2 kids were sound asleep, and Emma was enjoying some mindless TV time. Everything seemed peaceful, almost boring. But then, from the stillness of the upstairs hallway, Emma heard it. A child's laughter. Thinking one of the kids was awake, Emma put down her snacks and went to investigate. She checked each room carefully. But to her surprise, both children were still sound asleep, tucked in their beds. Emma went back downstairs, feeling a little spooked. Maybe the TV was playing tricks on her. Just as she was starting to relax again, she heard it again. The unmistakable sound of a child's laughter, but this time it was closer. She spun around, and that's when she saw it. Standing at the end of the hallway, bathed in the dim light from the nightlight, was a child-sized figure. But it wasn't one of the Anderson children. This child was different. Its skin was pale, almost translucent, like moonlight on snow, and its eyes were 2 black pits, devoid of any reflection. The apparition giggled again, its voice sending shivers down Emma's spine, and in a voice that seemed to whisper directly into her soul, it said, "Want to play?" That was the final straw for Emma. She didn't hesitate. She didn't even try to rationalize what she was seeing. Chapter 5. The Cursed Painting. Our final tale revolves around Mark, a man with a penchant for antiques and a complete disregard for the phrase buyer beware. It all started innocently enough at a neighbourhood garage sale. Amongst the dusty knickknacks and forgotten treasures, Mark stumbled upon an old painting, the portrait of a sombre-looking woman in Victorian-era clothing. There was something about her eyes, a depth and sadness that drew him in. Mark, thinking he'd snagged a bargain, took the painting home and hung it in his living room. It adds character, he probably told himself, completely oblivious to the nightmare he had just invited into his home. That night, Mark woke up with a jolt, a cold sweat clinging to his skin, feeling like he was being watched. He sat up in bed, his heart pounding, and that's when he saw her. The woman from the painting, her eyes burning with an eerie intensity, was standing at the foot of his bed. Mark blinked, and just like that, she was gone. He tried to shake it off, telling himself it was just a bad dream, the result of an overactive imagination. But night after night the same thing happened. He'd wake up to find the woman from the painting staring at him, her eyes following his every move. Sometimes she'd be in his room, other times in the hallway, always watching, always silent. Mark, understandably freaked out by this point, tried to get rid of the painting. He threw it in the trash, only to find it back on his wall the next morning. He tried giving it away, but it always seemed to find its way back to him, like a creepy, unwanted boomerang. Well, there you have it, folks. 5 terrifying tales to keep you up at night. From whispering walls to phantom trains, creepy smiles to haunted paintings, we've explored the dark side of the human experience, where reality blurs with the supernatural, and every shadow holds the potential for terror. Which one spooked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one. Until next time, sleep tight and don't let the ghosts bite.